And I'm not doing this for money. That man, I don't even want to call him a man. He never gave me a penny. I never asked for a penny. And, I've never been paid to speak out about him or anything. Even if I had been, I would not touch that money. That money would be donated immediately to victims because that's blood money to me.
Marilyn Manson faces a new lawsuit by a woman who accuses him of assaulting her when she was underage, according to a new report by Rolling Stone. Manson, whose real name is Brian Warner, is listed as a defendant alongside his former labels Interscope and Nothing Records, Interscope and Nothing Records, Interscope and Nothing Records.
I would not touch that money. That money would be donated immediately to victims because that's blood money to me.
People were saying this is all about the money, but then you did something, twisted that whole argument. What did you do with that money?
$7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital.
So there's a new bullshit lawsuit in the Marilyn Manson hoax. And as I've been talking about for 2 years now, Marilyn Manson is at the center of a gigantic MeToo hoax that's way beyond anything Amber Heard ever dreamed of doing. And if you want to know more about it, take a look at my channel. I've got lots of videos on it. But the latest development, unfortunately, it's another big legal and media hit against Marilyn Manson. Fortunately for Marilyn Manson, this lawsuit is even more preposterous than the lawsuits and the allegations that have come before it. And one of the things that makes it absolutely nuts is that the accuser went on the record in multiple interviews a couple of years ago, including an extensive podcast interview, and she already talked about this stuff, and she gave a very different version than the one that she's giving now in the lawsuit. So it's great when you can go back, just like, with the Amber Heard stuff, right? We actually had audio recordings we could listen to and we could hear the bullshit like in real time. Well, with this, we've got an entire podcast interview that went on for like an hour and a half back in 2021, where this woman is on the record talking about all this stuff, and again, very different story. So we can see the bullshit in this case. Now, I just want to say here at the outset that I have combed through her old interviews and have compared it to the new lawsuit, and I've come up with a long list of contradictions and inconsistencies and things that really, in major ways, do not match up. You can see a list here, and I'm going to go through these in this video. Now, this lawsuit is just one of a number of lawsuits that is being brought by the attorney Jeff Anderson of Anderson and Associates. And Jeff Anderson made a lot of money suing the Catholic Church for all of the shit that it was involved in with abuse and everything. And I think that's great. I support that, right? But I think Jeff Anderson decided to find a new industry to sue. And so he's chosen the music industry. And so he has several clients, not just Bianca Allaine, but several clients who are suing various groups in the music industry. And of course, Bianca Allaine herself is not just suing Marilyn Manson. She is suing Interscope Records and she's suing Nothing Records. And so, in my opinion, what we see here is a gigantic money grab. Some of these lawsuits are just ridiculous. You may have heard of one of them where the stars of the 1960s Romeo and Juliet movie are now recently suing for $500 million because, I guess they're suing the studios, right? Because of a nude scene that took place when they were in their late teens that they have celebrated over the years as being artistic and edgy and so much fun, but now they've suddenly decided that they want to sue for big money. Now, you might ask, why are there so many of these lawsuits in the entertainment industry now? What is going on? Well, in fact, it's because the statute of limitations has been temporarily rescinded in cases like this. And so people can go back, they can go back decades, and they can now sue. Now, this Jeff Anderson guy, he is milking this thing as much as he can. And so he's got all of these cool, like sort of graphic art. Look at that. Time's up, Manson. And he did a press conference the other day, and I don't know, I thought it was kind of a bizarre press conference. I mean, apparently he is a shrewd attorney, But at the same time, I wasn't too impressed with this press conference. Now, this is a press conference. The women behind him, they are not women who are suing Manson. They're suing other people and companies in the music industry. But I want to show you the part where he's talking about Manson case.
The first complaint I'm going to hold up that has been filed names on the plaintiff as Jane Doe, and it identifies the rapist to be Brian Warner, also known as Marilyn Manson, who first began
Come on, get it out. You can get it out.
to rape her as a youth,
This is like a
and
connect the
then
dots
continued
exercise.
into her adult years. And she was not the first, and certainly not the only, as has been widely reported. And this suit names him and at least two of the industry defendants in it that we believe enabled it to happen. And there are more to come.
More to come. That's exciting. It's two of the industry defendants because Jeff Anderson is not really interested in milking Marilyn Manson for more money, I don't think. Marilyn Manson's almost out of money because he's been milked for money the last 2 years with all of this legal insanity. And as we know, he's not making any money because he's canceled. He's not allowed to work. So Marilyn Manson, however much money he may still have left, that's not the big jackpot. The big jackpot for these guys, for these types of lawyers, and for Jeff Anderson, the big jackpot is the companies. Interscope Records, Nothing Records, right? They've got the bigger pockets, especially Interscope. Interscope, huge in the music industry. So what Jeff Anderson is banking on is that this completely bullshit bonkers lawsuit, that Interscope Records and Nothing Records, they're going to be so sort of freaked out by it, and Manson's image now is so toxic that these companies, Interscope and Nothing, they'll just want to settle. They'll just want to make it go away. All right. So it's all very strategic. Jeff Anderson's not an idiot. He's not the best communicator I've ever seen. I'll give him that. But he's not an idiot, and he knows what he's doing. And it's a bullshit lawsuit, and I'm going to talk about why it is. But it has an objective.
We also know that as a serial offender, he is also a serial attacker of those that would name and call him out.
Attacker.
And he is and has been engaged in serial attacks against many of and or most of those victims that have come forward to name him for what he has done and who he is.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything, and he's the victim of a hoax. Now, I just want to look at this outfit first of all. Yeah, it's not quite what I would think of. If someone tells me it's going to be a real serious press conference, you want to give across a real serious vibe here. Not what I would choose, but I have to say I do at least appreciate this look better than what some of the other MeToo victims have been wearing. So like we have, for instance, I noticed in the Hugh Hefner Hit Job documentary series, we had the Shannon twins. You know, remember what they looked like when they were on Hugh Hefner's show? Yeah, there they are dancing with Hugh Hefner, right? Well, then this is the way that they look now. Well, this is how they look now. This is Secrets of Playboy. Like I said, they spent an hour talking about how they were coerced by Hefner into doing everything that they did consensually. But look at what they're wearing. I don't understand why. I think that there's like probably a team of consultants that get called in for this type of stuff. And they're like, okay, there's a Me Too look, a Me Too victim look. And you want to look like you're a Quaker. And you got to have the white and the black, right? The white is for purity. And then the black shows that you're really serious, right? That there's absolutely nothing like superficial or money grubbing about you, right? And so, and then it has to be like buttoned up to to the neck, right? Nothing at all sexually suggested, down to the wrist. Like we cannot exude even a hint of sex appeal here or sexuality. Not that in these ladies' cases now it would be that hard. And then look at even what they're wearing with the shoes, the tights and the shoe. Like I don't even know what to say about this. This is absolutely, I'm aghast at it. And they're not the only ones, the Marilyn Manson accusers. This is what Evan Rachel Wood, looked like back when she was going through her edgy phase in her 20s. And, gorgeous, great, good for her. But of course now it's the Quaker look, buttoned all the way up, black and white. Same with Esme Bianco. Esme Bianco, another Manson accuser. She was all into the BDSM and the fetish stuff and, all of that. Great. Again, more power to her. But not good enough for talking about MeToo shit or testifying before the California Assembly, I guess. So yeah, like they're all playing from the same playbook. So I guess Bianca Allaine, it's time to turn in the Zombinatrix shirt, and that's the name of her movie that she's trying to raise money for, Zombinatrix. It's time to turn in the Zombinatrix shirt. Do you have something in your closet that looks more like this? Because you need to get that shit out. Anyway, yeah, so let's talk about this bullshit, this absolutely bonkers bullshit lawsuit. Now, Jeff Anderson actually brought yours truly up in this lawsuit. And they don't say me by name. They don't refer to me by name because they don't want to give me any free PR, right? They just want to intimidate me. So there was this little clause in the lawsuit, upon information and belief. By the way, you see that a lot in these lawsuits. Whenever it says upon information and belief, what that normally means is this is bullshit and we're saying we don't really know it's true and we're not really saying it's true. We're just saying that like we think it's true, upon our own belief. We don't have the full picture though, so we could really just be completely bullshitting you, as they are in this lawsuit and the others against Manson. Anyway, though, it says, upon information and belief, defendant Warner and his wife are retaliating against plaintiff through a particular YouTuber who has profited by discrediting, I cut it off, but you can imagine what it says after, blah, 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 blah. Well, I haven't profited very much, first of all. I'm just trying to get the YouTube channel still off the ground. And secondly, sweetheart, I didn't even know who you were until you sued like 3 days ago. How have I been retaliating? Is this Minority Report now? Like where you can predict? Do you have like the 8-Ball and Tom Cruise and those weirdos in the tank of water that are like, ah! No, I doubt it. Okay? Come on. And sweetheart, it's not retaliating, okay? Retaliating, those aggressive attacks that Jeff was talking about, your man Jeff. It's not retaliation. It's called telling the truth about bullshit lies and bullshit accusations. Okay? Here's how it works. It's not like you, sweetheart, were like minding your own business and then this crazy YouTuber just zeroed in on you, right? And then just started making videos, all right? You made up a bunch of bullshit lies about an innocent man and you collaborated with a grifter lawyer to try to get money out of him and out of these big record labels, and you've been telling a lot of lies and you've been going around trashing them in the tabloids and on podcasts and on interviews, and you think that for somebody to speak up against that is retaliation? No. Get real. Anyway, I thought we'd go to everyone's favorite attorney to get a little insight on whether it is appropriate or allowed for me to speak directly about a Jane Doe defendant, because I know some people are going to say that. How dare you say it's Bianca Allaine? Well, everybody knows it's Bianca Allaine, first of all. And secondly, the Jane Doe thing only applies to the court.
If it's anonymous, that basically is a protection for the people that are involved in this case. It applies to them. They're subject to the jurisdiction of the court. The rest of the public is not. There is nothing illegal inherently, per se, about using the, true name of the person who is being granted anonymity in this proceedings. I'm aware that it's already out there for a lot of people. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. There's, again, First Amendment activity protects the public's ability to comment on public proceedings.
So, comment on public proceedings and public bullshit, we will. Let's talk about how this woman is full of shit. All right, so Marilyn Manson has responded through his attorney, and he's called the allegations in the lawsuit vicious lies. He says Brian Warner does not know this individual and has no recollection of ever having met her 28 years ago. He certainly was never intimate with her. She has been shopping her fabricated tale to tabloids and on podcasts for more than 2 years. Now, Marilyn Manson is not the only one to say that he doesn't know this woman. The wife of one of the members of the band who would have been around at that time, she says, these allegations refer to a time frame Pogo was around. However, he did not recognize the name at all. I Googled some photos of different eras of her to see if he recognized her, and he did not. Furthermore, he has zero recollection of her being around, and he actually has a very good memory. Additionally, the accusations that stated that Manson forced her to be with others does not match with his experience at all. The Manson he knew did not share women. He considered it beneath him. Also, we need to realize that Bianca Allaine, as with a number of the women involved in this hoax against Manson, she's just kind of off her rocker. Look at this. Look at what she wrote on, I guess this was Facebook. She says, she's talking about Kanye right now, all right? She says, you all don't know Manson, but I definitely do, before he was even famous. And he used Kanye with Donda on my birthday as his first appearance. He even wore the Columbine makeup to silence me. Now, you understand what she's saying here, how bonkers this is? She's saying that when Marilyn Manson did that big appearance with Kanye, you know, the concert or whatever together, and he wore the same makeup that he had worn decades ago with when the Columbine thing happened, this crazy lady is saying that he wore that makeup as a message to her, and that he appeared with Kanye and did this Donda appearance on her birthday to send her a secret message. Like, this is one of those like delusional, insane people who think that, you know, they're getting like messages from the movie star like through the TV or whatever. It's really, really insane. Okay. Also, it's important to understand that Bianca Allaine had stated in the past that Marilyn Manson pursued her until she was about 18 and then he lost interest. Well, that's interesting because your podcast and your lawsuit allege that you had a sexual relationship with him when you were 19 in 1999. So how is it that he pursued you until 18 and then lost interest, and then you somehow had a sexual relationship with him when you were 19? That doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Now, another major discrepancy in her story is that she's claimed at various times that when she was 19, she either had a 4-week affair or a 3-month affair with him, depending on which source you're looking at. So again, which was it? Is it 3 months or was it 4 weeks? I also want to point out that in 2021, Bianca Allaine thought she was emailing one of the members of Manson's band and one of his good friends, Jordy White, but she was really emailing some random woman, and this woman has talked about it on online. She actually saved the email, and basically in this email, Bianca apologizes for the stuff that she had said about Manson, and seems to indicate that she only said it because other people were telling her that Manson had done some bad stuff. And so it really seems like what happened is that Bianca saw these other allegations that came out in early 2021, and then she jumped on the bandwagon, and then she started to regret it or had second thoughts, and she's emailing a band member and friend of Marilyn Manson to kind of try to apologize. So let's get to the crazy podcast interview, all right? So this was an interview on the podcast of someone known as the NT lawyer, like entertainment lawyer, and I'm going to link to it below. It's on his Patreon. You can go check out his stuff. He's got some other interesting stuff there. So what I'm going to do is basically a kind of a side-by-side. I'm going to tell you what the lawsuit alleges, right? The lawsuit that was just filed several days ago. And then I'm going to play for you the podcast in which she talked about in February 2021 these same allegations, except notice how different they are in various ways. All right, so let's get started.
Like I said, my and I don't even call it a story because it's the truth. Those events and my encounters with him I've never changed. You know, it's never changed. My story had never changed. The only thing that had really, and it wasn't even a change, I just didn't tell the complete story.
Sorry. When someone is trying to be emphatic and convince you that their story hasn't changed, that's an indication that, you know what? I think it's changed a lot. And we'll see that it has.